Turing, McCarthy, Hinton. You know this video is about AI. But the thing is that this is a different sort of video what we regularly do. We are late in releasing our video, but since we were engaged with multiple startups and brands regarding their AI marketing strategy, we had to pause our marketing research and market research about AI. So since everyone is just rushing ahead with AI, we do feel that it is necessary, it is imperative that we go to the basics of what happened and how AI evolved to today's LLMs and obviously further AI agents. From the AI translation products that use parallel corpora techniques, we will not get into the technicalities of the techniques, but the thing is that they figure out the sequential dependencies that are used by LLM today. But moving on, let's get to the main points and move into the video. In this video, we'll talk about the Turing test and how John McCarthy started it in 1956. So let's begin. The year is 1956. The name is John McCarthy. The term is artificial intelligence. Basically, before that, it was Alan Turing who primarily said that, if a human is interacting with a machine and one cannot determine whether they are interacting with a human or a machine, for example, then it is said to be passing the Turing test. Obviously, it was criticized that, there were no specific parameters for it. For example, who would administer the test, for how long, what will other variables be? Okay, so why all of this is necessary? It is not possible for any one company or even one institute, whether it is a university, a government think tank, or whatever, to encompass all of what AI has been doing. That is why we get to the basics of it, and that is why we explain that what Turing test means, because it has been long past since. We focus on how its definition started from 1956, John McCarthy's projects, that machines were measured on being intelligent from only this criteria, that they could do some predefined steps of what humans needed. And then for the next 5 decades, progress was quite slow till the time over about a decade ago when we reached the point where AI started learning on its own by training itself on masses and masses of data and quite eerily reaching a point that, for example, there's a project by DARPA called Dogfight, which defeated human pilots in simulated combat. Can you imagine where it is leading to? We've discussed some of the points in the previous video, so you might as well want to do your own research as well. Moving on, the interesting point over here is that humans have almost forever longed that they are free to do other things than menial tasks. Why else do you think? And we would love your feedback on this. Give us in the comments or reach us out through email. That people want to augment their capabilities or capacities, like self-driving cars, home automation, industrial automation. People want to be free. People want to, enjoy time with their family, with themselves, whatever one wants to do.
For example, we have generated this video with Chinese AI. It took about 30 seconds to do it. Because artificial intelligence of China's companies is far advanced than Western AI brands. We do content production, marketing, YouTube monetization for scores of clients with AI like these. Guess which Chinese generative AI tool we used for this. The right answers shall get a link for generating such AI videos for free. Join us in our artificial intelligence marketing journey to the apex.
Like from ancient history, ancient Greece, up till the 17th century France, and even 18th century Prussia, it has been the desire for a helper that, something, whether that is a machine, that is, humans that help other humans. Humans have been trying to outsource the work that they do not want to do. And all of that, combined researchers, developers, and tech leaders to develop AI. For what? For first performing their day-to-day task and then obviously increasing the dexterity of the task that AI does. For example, now object recognition, creating text and images, and even doing advanced research for business plans or marketing strategies. Even after all of that, the 1980s and 1990s saw an AI winter where AI could only do those tasks that required some sort of precise algebraic manipulation or business process automation. If you're a businessman or a startup owner or an entrepreneur or someone like that, you might not be interested in this information being presented in this video as much as an AI researcher or a marketeer or someone who is an AI enthusiast in general would be. Why? Because all of these trivias, if you would call them, but the facts and figures are still there. They have to be documented. And these are available online in various books. But we focus on these because no one, almost like majority of the people that discuss about AI do not know about 1958's invention by Frank Rosenblatt in the Cornell Aeronautics Laboratory of neural networks. It was from that point that human neural networks were tried to being emulated into computers, but the technology of that time did not support it, and he was unsuccessful. But it was his attempts that led to the future developments of artificial intelligence. And the reason that we are delighted for that is, what is the sales function? What does marketing do? It primarily connects the value produced by whatever company, brand, institution to the people who are seeking or want that value. Now consider this, what we discussed in the previous video, that the neural network based AI that discovered Halcyon did. It took a set of inputs and gave us certain outputs. If you want the details, you can watch the previous video over here. But the crux of it is the inputs were the association between molecules, and the outputs required was its ability to inhibit bacterial growth. So it's a simple matchmaking technique that resulted in a research, an element that saved millions of dollars in budgets and hundreds of hours of the top scientists of the world. And imagine the sort of cures that it provided to the people who were in so desperate need of it. And since it is data that makes the results of AI more and more accurate, and all of us know that how much data is available to us all the time today. A general deep network of today contains about 10 layers of networks. So it's getting more and more technical in this video, right? Let's roll it back a bit. How do you make your decisions? You are in a position, you're in a state, you're going through certain things. On runtime, you account for certain facts and obviously decide the paths that you want to take. This is a general explanation. But AI does not make decisions like this. Take it in this way, that there's a developed model, and on that model, AI has to train itself on the data provided. And then it comes to certain conclusions. It processes those data and checks the outputs that is given to them. It is not that, it's live, like humans are, that they're in a situation and they have to make the decisions on their judgments, on their biases, on whatever facts and information they have. They can, if driving, they can take any route. Take an example of what we are doing right now. So AI is not deterministic in that sense.
We already have been relying more and more every day on AI for our entertainment, information, communications, and education even. That most evidently means that those who manage, for the lack of a better word, the artificial intelligence will shape policies, narratives, and most importantly, eventually the system. So where do those who do not use AI for themselves will go?
Think about it in this way, or in the context of the socio-political economic system that we are living in, which is capitalism. Massive amounts of resources are required in order to analyze those sorts of data that AI trains itself on. Even developing the models itself is way too capital intensive. So what will happen when we go further? AI will work more and more for those capitalists that invest more and more in it. In the previous video, we were discussing the amount of capital that has been invested just in this year, 2024, in AI equipment and AI technologies. Why? So that, those humans that want paid leaves, that get sick leaves, that want vacations, that only work 8 hours a day or so, can be replaced with AI equipments, with AI models, AI algorithms, business process automation, marketing automation, in order to increase productivity. But what happens with those people who get replaced? As of now, we are not seeing any job or industry that can replace it, that can hire those people. So we are, building upon that point, that obviously AI has made a lot of disruptions, and 2025 is just going to be the year of AI agents. So the AI reaches its conclusions by the technique called inference. It inferences its conclusions from the data set provided. And as explained, that it is a problem with capitalism that only the people that who can afford those researchers that can eventually develop the main three categories of AI: supervised, unsupervised learning, and then reinforcement learning. So moving forward from that, try to understand that an AI that produces results for generating cancer treatments or something similar would be entirely different from something that generates media, an AI that is generative, whether that is text, images, videos. The ingenuity that AI gets is exactly because of this
Reason.
Every AI has its own technique of training itself on data and then coming to conclusions. Like supervised learning, as explained earlier, there is inputs, there is a certain direction that the AI wants to achieve, the outputs, and then it uses the data according to the model to come to specific conclusions. The AIs that detect images is supervised learning. The AI has been told that, for example, this is a picture of cat, and the researchers or the developers supervise its training and its outcomes. So eventually, it gives the results. Unsupervised learning is when there is lots and lots of data, masses of it, and the AI is just unsupervised. It's open to make its own conclusions, do its researches, it comes up with results, and then it is told that no, this is right or wrong, and it makes mistakes and obviously learns and learns and learns. So unsupervised learning is the best one for marketeers. Why? Because the more customer information we have, the more AI has to go in depth and actually analyze all of that data and come up with the results.
All these are forms of machine learning being deployed to provide customized solutions to specific problems, especially in marketing events through digital platforms.
You get recommendations from Netflix or YouTube to watch this video, right? But you would have noticed that at times those recommendations are bad. Like you're thinking, why should I watch this season or this video? This is what happens in unsupervised learning. What? Nonsensical results. But since everything has its pros and cons, this is bound to happen with the masses and masses of data that the unsupervised learning AI has to analyze. So we move on to the next learning in a while. Reinforcement learning. How did we reach that? So what started happening was, when the data kept on increasing and increasing, was that AI started becoming an agent. How? It did not only analyze the data, it became an agent in the sense that it observed and recorded the responses to its actions. Humans were instructing the AI to do a specific thing. That is the meaning of reinforcement, that humans told it that you need to do it this way, and this way, and that way. And since humans are innately limited in their capacity, at least as compared to AI, there was a limit to what humans could do in terms of reinforcing the artificial intelligence. And that is that in order to give AI the capacity to do what humans wanted it to do over the billions of times that it was going to train itself in a time span of days, programmers gave it a reward function, primarily meaning that whenever AI does a certain thing that the developers wanted it to do, the AI was rewarded and then automated that function. Whenever AI does it, it gets rewarded by itself, and no one needs to monitor the AI, what it's doing and how its progress is going on. And that is how reinforcement learning works. So we've covered the three major types of artificial intelligence. Now, since AI cannot be left to train on itself and humans cannot be available all the time, reinforcement learning requires two things to be of utmost importance: simulator and reward function. Where simulator is, you can think of it as a scenario. Obviously, it is a fake scenario. You know that this is happening and you need to do this. And reward function, as we just told you, is what the AI will get when it will actually achieve that simulation. And the slightest of the mistake, the faintest of the miscalculations while devising a simulator can lead to catastrophic results. We've discussed some of those in the previous videos, and we'll do that in the next ones as well. But over here, the point that we need to communicate very urgently is, hold on a minute. The thing about how AI actually achieved what it has today in agriculture, medicine, finance, and even transcription and translation. This point should be of so much interest to you because we know that if you're watching this video, you use this on a daily basis. The LLMs that generate the text and obviously other engines that generate videos and images, they're formed by advancing on reinforcement learning. How what used to happen is that in translation products, in order to determine what the next word will be in translations, they use sequential dependencies, figuring out what will come as a next word in a sentence. You give it one language and ask it to translate into another. So it used not only those words that were untranslated by then, but also those that were translated already. And it figured out what should be coming next. That is what led to all these chat GPTs, perplexities, and etc. and etc. You really should look up Google's BERT. It is one of the more famous applications of that. We discussed parallel corpora. We won't be going into much detail of it. So language translation has now reached this point that it is almost ubiquitous. Just real-time translations. It transformed the landscape of business, diplomacy, tourism, marketing in general, almost everything, economies all over. And that is what we like in that as well, that, for SDG 8.9, 12B, and 9.4, even SDG 5, gender equality, it is very useful. Even over here in MHB Consultancy, we use it almost on a daily basis while interacting with people from all over the world. You can put in any language, not only in Google Translate, but even these AI tools like Perplexity. Then what happened was, we reached the point that entrepreneurs, our marketeers, guided the developers to develop AIs that benefited the most people. Even though the problem of synthetic data did arise, meaning that AI generated content was then analyzed by more AI, and it generated more content, what you call, and then obviously it had mistakes. Inaccuracies, misquoting and misjudgment and everything. But even then, we moved on from neural networks to generative networks, and today, marketing, specifically speaking about marketing, is the industry that reaped the most benefit of those AIs. So by now, you would know that MHB Consultancy does provide market research, marketing research, and in general, marketing services, primarily digital marketing, but mostly B2B and services marketing. Then in order to learn more about how we, or maybe in general, artificial intelligence is being deployed most optimally in marketing, wait for the next video, and we shall meet you then. Thank you.